I wanted to have this panel, and I'm just going to give you a bit of a backup of what the whole thing happened. So we're both at the FinTech InsurTech conference. Let's just say average age, I think they were like 20 years older, just a bit of, let's just say, more banking and more like, like a public policy and this kind of stuff. And I met this gentleman who didn't meet each other for a while. And then we had this very intense conversation about the multiverse, like the metaverse and NFTs and the future of everything. And I really find it interesting. So I came back to my colleagues back here at Venture Cafe and Wolf Summit, and I was like, guys, let's just have a fireside chat. And I was like, who is your speaker? And I was like, I'm going to bring a speaker who has his own Wikipedia page. So I think that should tell you everything. So let's just say that it's going to be more about you and a little bit about me. But if you don't mind, let's just sit down and then try to... We're not going to make it too serious.
Hi, everyone.
But we're going to sit down. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi guys again, my name is Mateusz Mach, and it's a pleasure to be here at Wolf Summit, because Wolf Summit was actually the first ever conference I went to back in high school. I was 17 then. It was the first edition of Wolf Summit in Gdynia. I was there with my Project 5 app. It was an app for deaf people, and I was there mainly to compete in this startup competition, and the pitches, everything. It was my also first ever presentation in English. I forgot the script after a minute or so, but wow, what a time and what a memory! Wolf Summit. I love the brand.
Do you want to say what happened to your startup?
Oh.
Bear in mind, he was 17.
Yes, so I wanted to create an app for hip hop lovers, basically for my friends, for people listening to hip hop. Somehow I managed to get like an angel investor for the project. However, it turned out that nobody from the hip hop audience was interested in what we are doing. However, deaf people started reaching us out, because deaf people, when they read a book or something, they can't imagine the voice reading the book with us, right? So that's why they also have issues with learning foreign languages. And English, for example, for a deaf person in the States, it is a foreign language. That's why they love so much any product allowing them to communicate in their native language, which is a sign language.
And then what did you do to fix your problem financially?
VC, right?
Yeah, but then after that, you started doing an ICO.
Oh, it was a joke with the VCs. So just an example, I'm not that good with jokes. So basically, 5app, it was a mobile application, my first project, my first serious project I did. It was just like a boot starter for all of the other initiatives I had a chance to participate in. So after I finished high school, I was invited to study at NYU, New York University, at Abu Dhabi campus, and I think it was actually the reason why I started to learn more about blockchain, because Abu Dhabi is just an hour drive from Dubai. And Dubai now these days it's just a big fintech hub. So I remember the conference I went to when I was the first time in Dubai. It was 2015. It was just after Ethereum did their own ICO. Are you guys familiar with the abbreviation ICO? Yeah, for those who don't know, it's an initial coin offering, basically an alternative for crowdfunding campaign based on crypto. And it was basically so exciting, because once the event, it was a meetup like this. Once the event finished, the guy sitting next to me, he was reading this white paper, which he left after we had a brief conversation. And it was a white paper of Ethereum, which was preparing back then to the second round of the race of the ICO. I think back then they raised 800K worth of the coins, Bitcoin in USD. I can't imagine what would it be now. And it was also the times where when all of those very first crypto projects started, Golem, the Polish project, We also did, after that, our own tokenization for the music platform Opus. It was a very, very wild west in the crypto space. These were the times when not even 30 projects were listed on CoinMarketCap. When you look at the CoinMarketCap these days, it's, I guess, more than 14,000 projects today.
I mean, it's so old. It's not one of those jokes, by the way. Like literally, when they were putting the news out, they were just saying that it's crowdfunding. So all the news that came out of all of these things, and I was like, oh, like even like they were putting it in the same category as let's just say other crowdfunding campaigns. Yeah, like Kickstarter, and I was like, oh. Like Wallet got X amount of money in Kickstarter, and then Golem got $8 million in another type of crowdfunding campaign. So they did not even know the difference between these two platforms.
Yeah, I think back there, the community, the crypto blockchain community, we were just not sure what we are fighting for. And now with all of the changes, it's great we can talk NFTs today. I think we finally know what we are fighting for, and this is digital economy powered by blockchain, an economy where you can actually imagine yourself in this new digital reality, and yourself who cares more about the digital identity, not that much about how you are perceived, how you look like in real life. Why? Because I think like the world we live in, it's sad, right? I want to change something about myself, about how I stand. For example, I need to go and train 6 months at the gym. In the digital world, I can just buy a new avatar or a new skin, and I can have it instantly. The digital world is more flexible. When I want to change something about, oh, by the way, I have a receiving headline, right? So if I want to fix that, I gotta do hair transplant. In the metaverse world, it's just about finding a way to buy a new cut, like it was in Grand Theft Auto.
But you're jumping too much into the end part of that. I'm still not done with your story. So, but you also did it, can I call it the startup studio? For what you did for the blockchain projects?
Yeah, for sure.
So how did that go? Because that's also, for me, very interesting. Because a lot of startups, what they do about blockchain is just they try to get the hype and then try to basically do some marketing around it, and that's it. But you try to go a little bit deeper into the technology. And that's, to be honest with you, that's why we're here. So.
Oh, all right. So.
It's not going to be marketing, guys. It's going to be a serious conversation. Can I say something? We literally were having a fight about the metaverse. You remember that? Like, yeah, I do. He was supposed to go on the stage and talk about metaverse, and I just said, I don't believe in metaverse. And I was like, now they just sit down and talk. And now bringing in front of all of you guys. So trust me, it's going to be fun. So.
How about maybe asking a little question to you guys? If we had a question of how many people do believe, a very general and broad one, in the future with metaverse, or in the future where your digital identity will be more important than what we are having here, this conversation, right? The emotions and everything. How many people would say yes?
Can we include Web3?
Yeah, for sure.
I would say more important.
Yeah. So Mateusz, can I make a joke? So I raise my hand, but in the metaverse.
Okay, it's quite surprising because, like, it's 50-50, no?
Yeah. Now, my problem with metaverse is the matter of the fact that what is really going to happen and what is happening, I don't see them eye to eye. What I just say about the digital identity, I approve that. I genuinely believe that right now as a person that I have to, for some reason, do something with the government. Let's just say I have to do some grants or something. They send me the papers via mail, and then I have to sign them. Fun fact also, it shouldn't be black, it should be blue, that they understand that's not a copy, and then send it by Poczta Polska back to their location. That, I think, is a far, far away from being in a metaverse. And it was like, can you believe in digital signature? You know, or even funnier than the word signature. So if you write your name normally, it's not good. But if you make it in a funny way, that's your signature. That's my level of problem with the reality, that we are having so much problems, that they are so much down to earth, and we are still not fixing it. And all of a sudden we say, you know what? I'm just going to just destroy the whole world, and I'm just going to build another one in another reality. I just feel that maybe we're just having a very massive, let's just call it a spike between the real problems that we have and we can fix to go to that level. If your sunglasses are going to be on NFTs, still they look good on you because in this world they look good on you. Because if your avatar is going to be different, and then you're going to be different. So I really believe we can have a whole different world in a metaverse. But then I still believe that what a lot of people say that about the metaverse, still I think maybe we are 100 years away from, let's just say, having, can I call it a shell that we have right now in our universe.
I would say so. I agree, but to have a conversation about innovation, I think the abstract thinking is always required, right? And the world we live in, it's a world of contrast. There is literally a war on the other side of the border. 20% of people, they don't have even access to, living in the world, they don't have access to internet, right? So if we take these kind of statistics into account, any kind of conversation about innovation might turn out to be unproductive. But if we want to be prepared for the future, I think the experiment is at least worth having. I just don't look at NFTs, metaverse, as a product, rather as a vision, and that's why the approach to the conversation it is a bit different, I would say.
I would also again give you one more credit. You work with Kinguin. Maybe you guys know what the company is doing, Kinguin? Maybe you can just pitch it a bit, just that they would know.
Oh yes, so Kinguin is one of the largest marketplaces for game keys. So when you play video games on PC, you probably bought something from Kinguin.
And even GTA is another one that again is the biggest worldwide competition, again is Polish. And one thing I really like is that in this market, people are very down to earth. They are really having real life, let's just say, examples, because people in Poland are very much keen on strategy games, online games, even creating them, preparing them. Even another very interesting project like Engine, again, more or less with a CTO of Polish and a lot of Polish developers. In that part of the world, I love it. Because this is a reality that you switch off from your day work and then you go back to the computer. So your avatar in your computer is pretty much a part of you. And this is not a new thing. Let's just say, at least we can call it for 30 plus years, those avatars and things, they did exist. Maybe they were a bit more pixelated. Maybe they were a little bit, let's just say, less customized. But we grew up with, let's just say, those avatars that they were attached to us. And depending on our, let's just say, level of imagination, we were more or less living with those things. But the reality that right now we will just see that I'm just going to take this bottle of water and then I'm just call it an NFT. I don't know exactly if this is really what we have to call that NFT. And maybe even we jumped and we didn't explain the details of what NFT really means, because maybe some audience really still would like to have a better definition of that, because maybe we're just talking a bit too high level and just we'd better just to talk about definitions that would be more obvious.
Yeah, for sure. So let's start. Maybe let's start with the theory and the NFTs. NFTs, which first appeared on the blockchain in 2012 with the origination of Bitcoin NFT protocol. And it's basically nothing else than a digital certificate of ownership, a confirmation that you own something. And usually it refers to owning a piece of product or a product in the digital world. So it's, again, a proof that you, Ahmad, you own these particular set of sunglasses in the digital space. And all of those items which are on the blockchain are also unique. And it's also part of the definition of NFT.
I was more going with the idea that NFTs are crypto collectibles rather than crypto assets. But are we in the same page, or you think that there is a better definition for that?
The whole blockchain industry for me is about collecting something. It was the same case with ICOs, right? When you go to CoinMarketCap and you see all of those top 500, top 1,000 projects, these are all basically projects and coins people collect. Yeah, like the company founders, they do announce them and market them in a way that these are companies solving some kind of problems and issues. However, the case is that majority of the top 500 projects, they don't even have MVP yet, commercially ready MVP. So yeah, it's basically like with Pokemon cards.
Yeah. So now we know what NFTs are. What is a metaverse?
So metaverse, there are different definitions of it. And the industry standard, like the definition which somehow became a standard in the space is this definition by Matthew Ball. Matthew Ball is this investor and the founder of the VC fund, pretty much focused on the blockchain space. And it's the definition itself, it's a funny thing for me, because if we put this definition on the slide here, it turns out that it takes the entire screen. It's basically 7 points describing what should be a metaverse in the ideal world. Some of those points are like that it's infinite, right? That everyone can join anytime, and the space there is not limited by any virtual boundaries. Some other points in the list are that it has digital economy. This is quite clear. But there are also those, even I don't understand it. So I rather prefer to refer to metaverse as basically a point in time. A point in time where, again, our digital identity will become more important than what's happening here in the real world.
Do you have a question?
But the points are same for internet.
Are those?
He says that that point is the same as internet. But the difference between the internet and the metaverse is, let me just go a little bit back. There was a time that computers, they were a tool between us to communicate with each other. So the funny thing is that computers used to be humans. So in NASA, you had a computer room that there were a bunch of ladies, mostly ladies also, because there were very low wages in that time, that they were sitting down and they were basically doing mathematics, and they would call them computers. And then after that, they put those computers into, let's just say, IBM, and started to automate them. So for a very long time, computers were not even counted. So computers were in a way, and I was like, what is 2 + 2? And I was like, let me just answer you, why my computer? So computers were totally outside of the communication. And now you go back to your, fun fact, I want to say Siri and Google, I just don't want one of these things to start beeping. But now you even talk to them. So now we are in a situation that we are looking at them as a part of our life. We ask them questions, we learn from them, we teach them things. In a metaverse, we go back to the level that you are inside the computer, or the computer is inside you, but there is no you or them. So this is not the same as internet. Am I?
I said that point as you mentioned are same for internet.
Yeah, the points from the definition. Yeah? Some of them, yes. I didn't mention all of them. I just gave 2. There are 7. I guess I didn't give the 5 others because I don't remember them. But yeah, those 2, I would say they are the same as the assumptions for the future of internet.
I think it's a subset of the internet metaverse. You need to have a few additional definitions to specifically describe metaverse. So everything that is the metaverse is also the internet, not the other way around.
But the question is, what are we discussing about? The metaverse as an idea, or metaverse as a project of meta company?
Okay, so just that because people didn't hear, might not hear that. So what are we discussing? The metaverse as an idea, or metaverse as a meta as a company? I didn't say meta, I said metaverse. So we're talking about the idea part. So frankly speaking, one of the reasons that I brought Mateusz, because we both, let's just say, try to be on the technology part of that. So let's just say there's way more than the marketing behind that. And I'm going to be honest with you, the reason that I'm trying to criticize it, because if you always try to just be on the positive side of the story, you give a lot of opportunity to a lot of people that they are on the side of the hype, and they try to just, let's just say, take some opportunities that they are really not there for the profit of that, for the technology of that. They're just there for the profit. So we really try to, let us say, have a very candid and a very frank conversation, because I genuinely believe that we can get there. Another very, let's just say, I would say to some extent relevant conversation I had was, back in the days, going to the moon was a real big deal. And then we started to sell the moon. So every country had a piece of the moon, and some people that they were super famous, they even had their own land there, like Albert Einstein had his own place. And then all of a sudden we stopped thinking about going to the moon. Do any of you guys know how much Poland has land on the moon, or even does have something? I am not going to talk about flat Earth and if we have ever been on the moon. That's a different conversation we have at 4 a.m. to 5 a.m. It's right at the back street. But as long as we're on the metaverse, I am going to basically talk about fads and fashions. And that's exactly why we're here. We just want to make sure that, I know that all of us right now are deep inside metaverse and Meta as a company and NFTs. But I just want to know how long we're going to be there. Because when, as we discussed, Ethereum started in 10 years ago, a bit more, I'm still as enthusiastic about the whole idea and methodology as 10 years ago. So I just want to know how long we're going to ride the whole wave of the NFTs together. Maybe that was a very, let's just say, specific way of going to the whole idea of NFTs and metaverse.
Oh, I think that finally the crypto space found something tangible, this kind of a use case, which will stays with us for a long time. And I like that Ahmed brought this gaming sector, because I think it's a good parallel to how people treat their online presence. I'm sure you know Counter-Strike, right? And I think that this Counter-Strike space is so intriguing because there's like hundreds of millions of people, teenagers playing Counter-Strike and spending so much time there, trading huge volumes.
That they are playing?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, it's good that they're doing something they like, and I think this whole development of esports and the level of professionalism the industry achieved, and all of those careers and opportunities it gave to the young kids, teaching them the business mind from the very from the very first time they interacted with computer. I think, yeah, it is brilliant.
I mean, even games in the beginning started as a way to help us learn how to communicate with computers. So the mouse started literally that you will learn that what the cursor is and how your hand on the table should somehow reflect itself on something on the key, on the screen, and how you, when you want to basically press keyboards and find your options there. But working in gaming, you basically, game was somehow a way for helping you be closer and closer to the computer. So if we believe that the future is going to be more virtual, then those games are, again, I really feel that it's kind of let's just say, a warm-up for us for that future.
Yeah, and also my point was, and this is what I was leading to, about the whole ecosystem of skins in particular for Counter-Strike, which was created by the community. Millions of dollars of volume trading skins every day. Skins for Counter-Strike, of course there are other games with other skins and other markets for trading them, but skins for Counter-Strike, they're kind of a standard and even investment by some people. Of course, this is also a gray area because people use it to launder money, but every invention has some risks. And I think that the skins started by wealth. They show us the direction of where and how the blockchain can be used, creating those digital economies and digital markets, allowing to first make sure that the skins or any other digital goods are a certificate of something, of authenticity, of the creatorship whatsoever, and then allow an easy way for all of us to trade them. again, we are starting with digital products, but the recent news, for example, Nike acquiring a metaverse company, all of the other big brands entering the metaverse space, fashion brands, it shows us that it's a question of time when we'll see the first cooperation and crosses of the real world and the metaverse world, and some of the big companies are already doing this.
So, in a timeline, where do you think we are? Like, how far do you think we are from that level?
I think it's still very beginning. The whole metaverse / NFT industry, it's very, very much premature. I would compare it to the 2015 and origination of ICOs. I think you, Ahmad, you used this term NFTOs.
Yeah.
So non-fungible token offerings becoming an alternative for standard tokenization approaches. And why do I say that we are at the beginning? Guys, like, imagine that the biggest hype and biggest news generated in such a technologically advanced space are some collections of bears being sold for millions of dollars. This is...
How can you prove it's not wash trade?
That is what?
Wash trade.
I'm not there to prove anything. I'm just saying that it's interesting for me that those kind of headlines generates the biggest media attention or the biggest hype.
You can fake almost everything. You can fake how many viewers are somewhere. You can wash trade. It means that you are the both ends of transaction. So you buy and sell, and when you do it on exchange, you generate in this case a bit of traction, or you generate that this exchange is used, but it's fake, and in regular market.
We're not talking about a stock market right now.
I did.
I know, but I'm just saying we're not talking about stock market, because when you say it has nothing to do with NFTs, any kind of trading has the same thing. And one thing that is a difference for you is that when you do something on blockchain, the level of transparency is way higher than when you're working on a stock trade. If you really take a look at what happened in GameStop and everything, it just showed you how corrupt the whole market in real estate and they just say in the stock market and all those things are. Why? Because exactly of what you say. So what you're saying is about economy, not about NFT. Because the reality is that the moment that you want to bring the state of the real estate up, you buy stuff and you sell stuff by yourself from two different parties, and as you mentioned, you create a, let's just say, hype. The moment that you would like to bring a stock market up or down, you do the same thing. So it has nothing to do with that. It's a supply and a demand. We're not teaching economy again here, we're talking about NFTs. And frankly speaking, we're touching a very sensitive topic because we're talking about the universe. We're talking about our life. We're talking about ethics. We're talking about intellectual property. We're talking about exchange of things. So if in the matter of 40 minutes, 50 minutes, we're going to talk about ethics and trade and proving the hypes and truth, we're never going to go anywhere. So we're really going to stick to the topic and talking about the fads and the fashion, you know, talking about the future versus just the point that, let's just say, with all due respect to a lot of people that they do invest in these things, is it something that is based on something that is going to change the world into a better place? Like a lot of people that they are very much, let's just say, into that. They try to democratize everything. They try to give power. Let's just say right now you want to invest in your startup. The way that you managed to raise everything on your startup was thanks to the cryptos and thanks to the blockchain, because people could decentralize, let's just say, support.
Oh, actually, the first VC round I got, it was a traditional investment.
And which one was better?
Crypto for sure.
Yeah. So one more time, like I have some friends that they are. I even forgot the name. These people that they say. That's a different friend of mine. I have more than two friends. That they say like the world is going to end and the global warming is kind of stuff. They're fine. But when they're just going in front of bankers and they say like, oh, like you're going to be dead and this kind of stuff, that's a very aggressive way. When we're even talking about seeing the venture capital entering the decentralized world. We're talking about venture capital try to diversify their portfolio. So I am not at all debunking any of those things. But if we take a look at the return on investment on the regular venture capital, and the return on this part. When we're talking about returning on the return of investment on crypto assets and on normal assets, the amount of the money and let's just say travel that you have to go through going through stock market and going through crypto market. So I'm not against any of those things. We're just comparing just to see which one is the more preferred version of that right now.
Yeah, but you see, Ahmad, you're giving the examples which are quite complicated, right? The specifics of how the VC markets operate and how they will be operating in the future, right? Or some other like quite complex ideas which are, at least given the current state of technology and metaverse, hard to transcribe to this digital space. And I would say that since cloud got so popular, metaverse is finally this kind of a technological innovation which touches on our daily life. Why? Look, what is every teenager talking about? I bet they're talking about or listening to rappers and following what celebrities. We're living in a celebrity-based culture, influencers culture, right? What all of those celebrities, influencers are either wearing, what they are promoting, what is their hype based on, what kind of new chains and cars they got, and all of that stuff. And with NFTs, with this digital certificate of ownership, we are finally touching a technology which is basically concerning each one of us, especially younger guys. But still, there was not a technology or technological revolution before which would introduce this new way of behaving online. And we can see it even now, right? With, for example, some of the big Instagram celebrities switching their Instagram profile pics to NFTs. I wouldn't focus on what are those collections, what are those collections, how are they buying those? These are technical questions, not the important in terms of the conversation we are having, which is what is the stage we are currently at in terms of this metaverse revolution. I would rather ask question why they're doing this. And they're doing this because before, no one had a chance to flex and have a standard of flexing online. Yeah. And let's be honest. Like I bet lots of us here, we are doing startups, right? We are doing projects. Yes, we believe in, but at some point we would like to be compensated, right? We would like to have this reward, and I don't know what is your reward. Maybe it's a social recognition, maybe it's just a self-satisfaction, but maybe, and in lots of cases it's a monetary compensation, which allows you to, at the end of the day, flex. And I would say, in short, that NFTs are a standard of flexing online.
NFTs are standards of flexing online. It was very poetic.
Thanks.
There is one line of electronical equipment that I totally forgot, and I want to say LG, but I'm not sure if that's correct. Maybe it's Sony. So Netflix, when they wanted to sell their products in the beginning, they started bundling their products with one CD player. I genuinely forgot which brand it was. And what they say is that, so there was a serial number, and they say that just say that you buy this thing and then send us the serial number of the product, and then we give you a free CD. Back in the days that they just say that Netflix was sending CDs. So what they did was that they just saw that there are some individuals that all of a sudden they start buying like 10,000 CD drivers. And we're just like, what is wrong with these guys? Like, we're just giving them one CD, and this guy is just buying 10,000 just to get CDs from us. And then they find out that these guys go to electronic stores. They find out that the electronic producers are putting the serial numbers outside of the box. And these guys, they started walking around just writing these serial numbers, and they're going back to the Netflix application and then try to put it there. Just to say how much not having a proper digital identity sometimes would be able to, let's just say, lead to thousands, not millions of dollars of losses for a company that they did have a physical ownership was understandable. The physical ownership was still inside a shop, but the digital ownership was the way that this guy was manipulating and then tried to get thousands of CDs, if not hundreds of thousands of CDs out of out of Netflix and sell it by himself.
Yeah, and we could list so many, hundreds of these kind of examples. Maybe some of you have read this book, the House of Gucci, and there was this guy. What was his name? The father of the family in New York, the CEO of Gucci in New York.
I can just Google it.
Oh, Maurizio.
You're into
No.
fashion. You don't remember, yeah.
So basically, they
Martina is too much into fashion, so I thought that, yeah.
in 1990s they
I think
realized.
it's Maurizio,
No, Maurizio was the kid.
the kid.
Alberto. Aldo. Yeah.
So you're
So
the fashion person. Yes.
so Aldo faced this challenge of this huge market of counterfeit, which just started in 1990s, and all of those brands, Gucci, like all of the luxury fashion brands, they still didn't fix this problem, right? That you're buying a jacket, you're buying a suitcase, and you basically have no way of, when you buy it from the official store, you can be sure that it's original. But then when you're trying to sell it somewhere else, the person buying it from you, he or she, like, they can't be sure that you are selling them the original version. Same with watches, right? Rolex, all of the luxury fashion and luxury, any kind of luxury industry. With NFTs, this could be easily solved, and these are problems which cost companies not millions but billions of dollars these days.
I have one question from this side.
Yeah, because we are talking about your digital identity, NFTs, and NFTs are non-fungible tokens, which means that everything you ever did cannot be taken away. I'm sure all of us had a Facebook post they deleted, or a tweet they were not so proud of, or a photograph, or during, I don't know, Studiówka, the party that you want to forget. Here you can't. And I think this is an interesting aspect of the future of this society and of the way we are going. Yeah? That I have no answer, but for me this is one of the aspects of non-fungible life.
Can I say how much everything is connected to everything? So the conference that I mentioned, my speech back there was about data protection and the usability of data in organizations. And what we literally were talking for almost 40 minutes with the chief data officer of Bank Pekao, City Handlove, and so many others was exactly that. Because what you're mentioning, even inside a GDPR, is the right to be forgotten. And the right to be forgotten that is inside the GDPR is not complying with blockchain. It's not even inside the NFT. It's technically is a part of the, but the point is that I think this gentleman was talking about internet, but that is not in NFT, that is internet. Like a lot of you guys might not know. How many of you guys know about the archive of internet? Just raise your hand. If any of you guys don't know, just go home and just have fun for the past 6-7 weeks, because you can always go back to the archive of internet. Especially if you're VC, you can just always go back and see that, okay, so now you're selling potatoes. Now I'm just going to go back. And I was like, so you were selling apples 2 minutes ago. Internet never forget. That is if you are into like youngsters and everything, hashtag internet never forgets. It's not a matter of blockchain. If you put something on internet, and if it's from your student party or it's from anywhere, forget about blockchain. People are just going to put 5 screenshots, share it everywhere, and it's never going to go away. So.
No, it's just when the war started, they put this for I think 20 minutes. They put out the article, whatever it was, yeah, that it's going to be a success for Putin. And within 20 minutes, but the internet never forgets.
Internet never forgets. Yeah. So I'm just going to have this question because that would be a good way for us to wrap it up. It's never going to be over. And seriously, like this whole idea of the NFTs and the conversations and blockchain, decentralization, Web 3.0, and so many different things. Honestly, if I would be just sitting down with people that they're like Ethereum developers and let's just say more people that they are more into the Web 3.0 development, I will talk about protocols. Because the new protocol that they are right now for security tokens and NFTs,
It's too complicated.
but it's fascinating. Like I love physics, and I like to explain physics and physical theories and quantum, but I'm a student of people who always talk to me about mathematics and physics, because it's very easy to talk about, like, like I can right now talk about, let's just say, black holes for 2 hours, but I cannot make 2 mathematical formulas around that. And the moment that I see those mathematical formulas, as a student, I sit down and I love it, because I see math shows me that it works. Those things that they are complicated, let those NFTs and everything really work. Like I know that might be very boring for me right now to say that, but I was literally for half an hour just talking about 2 different protocols, because in one of our projects we were trying to see which one of them works best for our STOs and for the new security token offering that one of these companies wants to provide. And when the developer was explaining the flexibility of between these 2 protocols, even for me, I will organize an event for that. But as we discussed, we're not going to talk about it. We're going to talk about usability and the future of that. And as a person...
Oh, yeah, so I would just rephrase, not too complicated, but I would say for the purpose of this conversation, too deep.
Oh, totally. I totally agree with you. That's why I just want to say, you work in a... I really appreciate you as an entrepreneur, despite the fact that, let's just say, even 4 years ago, I would say that you're a good entrepreneur, and it blows my mind that you're 24 years old. But on top of that, you also work for Kinguin, again, a company that you can also say even who built the Kinguin. Because for me, like talking about diversity and everything that is happening in this country, even this whole idea of Kinguin, for me, is just an example that I just want to put on top of this whole entrepreneurship in this country, and people know way more about where Kinguin come from. But I just want to put it into the way that if somebody would like to right now enter this NFT, as a person that some people come to me for investment or for, let's just say, ideas, do you have to say yes to them or no? And if the answer is yes, then what do they have to do to enter?
First, I would say is to think more broad in terms of any kind of cases of implementation, NFT implementation. The first thing which comes to your mind, it's my guess, when you hear the phrase NFT, it's probably NFT collections, which is just a short-term trend, yes, and here we can say, I would say, that here we can actually admit that the collections were there, it was an interesting concept, but less and less companies and less and less people in general will be impressed by any NFT collection, no matter what it is. And to think more broadly is to think more broad is to think about NFT not as a piece of art, not as a token with a graphic, or not as a part of NFT collection, but rather to think about it as this digital certificate of ownership, because then you can actually came up with ways, for example, to implement NFTs as a new way of cookies, a cookie policy for the Web3 reality. Actually, a friend of mine came up with this company, Sneaker Doodle Labs, and they're trying to build a new standard of cookies, like the cookies we have on every website, using NFTs. So the users who agree to share the data with the administrators, they're compensated with the tokens for the fact of sharing those. Some other cases, I was actually shocked, guys, yesterday. I was talking with my 2 friends. I built the first blockchain company with Opus. They're both from New York University as well, but they're more focused on the research part of the projects we did together. So we found this research paper literally yesterday. It was a research paper about connection of beacons, this technology like of small devices you put in the room, beacons and blockchain. To authenticate physical products. And I mean, now it sounds normal. It sounds like something you can build. But this paper was published in 2017. So in 2017, the researchers and academia were discussing NFTs. They didn't know that they're going to be called NFTs, but it's just a proof that NFTs are not here because someone came up with this phrase and I accidentally got popular. The academia researchers, this was a topic of conversation at universities for years now, and now we just are in a place in time that the technology allows for something such as NFTs.
You know, I like going to OpenSea and take a look at all these NFTs, the same way as I like to go to Behance and other places and try to take a look at art. Because for me, both of them are as beautiful and as intriguing. And to be honest, we're just having a different chat about different topics, but like the moment you put money behind anything, things get better, you know? I mean, where are we going so far? Like Warsaw Tower, right now we're in it, you know? If you didn't have that budget, then you couldn't bring these people. And the moment you bring these people, then people pay for it, so then you will be able to have a return on investment. But what I'm worried is the hypothetical Warsaw place that after it's going to be fully occupied and somebody is just going to snap a finger and then in a metaverse, then there is no Warsaw Tower. Because one of the things that I always have as a problem is the chain. Like, forget about NFTs and metaverse. They always say that the weakest part of the chain is the strength of the chain. So the reality is that if I put this table on an NFT, if I burn this table, even a fully decentralized blockchain that is never going to forget, does not have a physical property linked to that. So now I can say that you bought this table and the NFT, you still have the property of this thing, but with all due respect, your property is destroyed. Let's just say the gift that I bought is on a physical server, and that physical server at any moment can basically be hacked.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's a hypothetical scenario worth analyzing, right? And I think here it's good to mention this Beeple case, not this most expensive NFT, not this one, but this other project of his, where he released a collection of NFTs, which came both in physical format and like these were called, I think, acrylic NFTs, and the alternative for that as a digital NFT. And if you want to trade those today, the physical format is worth 1K USD. The minimum price, entry-level price for like the lowest tier NFT on the market is 100K. And it's not up to me to comment if it's good or bad. It's just market, as you said, demand and supply, right? It's the market. It's the market choosing the trends, which are currently the trends, and I think we're in some sort of like mental change or transition to just a different way of thinking about our presence.
Yeah. I mean, talking about how much supply and demand can work. So Stephen Colbert, he's a talk show host. He basically said, bear in mind he's 60-something years old, so you know he doesn't mind having fun with these things that, as he said, kids are talking about it. So he basically said, let me explain what NFTs are. And then he wrote his definition of NFTs in the back of, let's just say, a delivery paper that he basically found. And then he just said that, you know what, this is a, can I just curse here? Like a fucking, you know, a tangible token or something like that. He just made some funny things in his show. And then he sold it for $200,000 on his website. So I'm just trying to say that sometimes a demand, it has nothing to do with the reality. If I want to buy it, I just buy a piece of paper that it was being promoted inside a TV station, regardless of the fact that maybe even I will just burn that paper later. So I'm also not that much against the fact that if I buy this table on the NFT, I might lose it. I am worried about people that they talk so confidently that if you buy this table on NFT, you're never going to lose it. As if like this table all of a sudden goes inside a blockchain, you know? So I'm just saying, again, going back to this conversation we had, some people go too much into the hype and forget about the reality.
Yeah, this is a great case, great example. But still, this one is based on the graphics, right? On the stereotypic way of thinking about NFTs. Maybe I can share one I experienced myself with Opus, actually. So Opus, in short, was a project we started in 2015, and it was supposed to be a platform for musicians. It was supposed to be a solution to Spotify, Apple Music, and all of those streaming services, just having so big commission fees. Usually when you're an independent musician or even working with a label, you pay like 30-40% commission fee depending on the streaming service. And we wanted to use blockchain just for the sake of building any blockchain project. We didn't know with my friends it will get so big. But we wanted to find a use case where we can use blockchain, and it was back in 2015. So yeah, the music, we all loved music, so music was the first industry which came to our mind. We started tokenization, we started raising funds for development of this project. We raised almost 20,000 Ethereum back then, which is quite significant. We delivered all of these promises to the users, and if you ask me if there's still a big interest in the platform itself, I would say no, definitely not. It was a project which was just ahead of its time. I remember, because I moved to New York to try to work on this project for a year, I was meeting with all of those record labels, musicians, Calvin Harris, DJ Khaled. I was explaining them the idea of blockchain and using blockchain in the music space. They are basically all either saying no, that it's ahead of its time, or no because it's a scam, it's too complicated for the users. There was always something. And a month ago, Super Bowl, it's happening, and there is this huge announcement of Snoop Dogg starting the first NFT record label, which for me in 2022 it's actually obvious. This idea is obvious. Back when we were doing the project NFTs, and the whole discussion about digital economy was not that much popular. But when you think about it today, it's not that Snoop Dogg will be just building NFT collections for the rappers. The fight and the war it's about something completely different, because it's basically about introducing this new way of record labels functioning in the digital space. Why? These days, again, record labels are basically distributors. They help artists to distribute music to as many places as they can, and help promote those activities. In Snoop Dogg vision of the record label he acquired, it's Death Row, the record label he was releasing music through. His vision of an artist is more multi-dimensional, which is an artist which not only monetizes his music, his work of art, his songs or her songs, but also is able to function in this digital space as a separate entity and build whatever he wants, whether it's a fashion brand, or some real estate projects, whatever, in this digital economy, and have proper standards and proper processes to follow those in order to execute the vision.
I mean, if you smoke as much as Snoop Dogg, I think you already live in the metaverse, but that's a whole different story. Because I have a feeling he feels way more comfortable in metaverse than this part. He is always 2 feet above. But yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, I would say Jay-Z is also one of those guys that he is pretty much an entrepreneur and also at the same time doing all of those things. But one thing I always have as a problem, especially when you talk to incumbents, like people that they're a little bit more, let's just say, old school, is that, yeah, but your decentralized solution doesn't work, but my decentralized solution works. Yeah, like you say that, oh, I don't like Spotify because it doesn't pay off. But in the end, it gives way more money to artists than anything else. Because if Spotify would not save artists, companies like Apple would kill the whole, internet would kill the whole thing. Like, just read about the whole idea of, let's just say, LimeWire and those platforms and internet. There was a time that nobody wanted to buy anything from musicians. So now musicians that they talk about the problems with the Spotify and everything, if Spotify would not say all the musics in the world is gonna be in your pocket for $5, you would not pay a penny for those artists. So they kind of brought back all of those things, even though that we're trying to talk to them. Because I really believe that we're not really going back into, let's just say, apples and apples, but we're talking apples and oranges. Like these centralized solutions really work. And that is the thing that I unfortunately see a lot of these solutions that come out. They are too beautiful in theory. And look, I love Bitcoin. I love Ethereum, ideologically talking. But when I see that 10 years later, still these things are in the MVP stage, anybody VC here, yeah, like, would you invest in a startup that after 10 years, they still didn't finish their MVP?
Well, not really.
Do you want me to tell you that?
I am investing in startups which have no MVP yet, but I believe they will have an MVP within a year or so.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And now I'm going to pitch you a startup that forget about ARR, that is the annual recurring revenue. The DRR, the daily recurring revenue of Bitcoin, might be billions of dollars in the MVP stage, you know. I'm a bit skeptical when you keep your MVP for 10 years. You know what I mean? Like, I genuinely believe that if you really want to finish it, Warsaw Tower, I'm not sure how many of you guys in real estate. Like 2 years ago, I was in the Zolota, I was looking at the guy, the architect, that was showing us that in 2 years, the biggest office space in European Union is going to be here. It was nothing here. It was flat. I was like, how is that possible? And now it's 3 years, 2 years, calling the Warsaw Tower is going to be over. I know that the Warsaw and HP Revis want to do something, because in 2 years, they built something and they finished it. For me, Bitcoin is Sagrada Familia. Like every 2 years you go to Sagrada Familia, you see that there are like 2 centimeters above one of those things goes up. It still is an MVP. I love Bitcoin too, and that's my problem. But nobody can live in Sagrada Familia, nor the Bitcoin can still do transactions.
But you can have mass there. So it's not, you know, I don't
Yeah.
really...
I wish I would believe in something and then I would do that. Yes. So, you know what? Because NFTs are not complicated, now we're talking about religion. Let's just change the topic.
I like this one. I like this one.
Comment on something else, because what you said, that record companies are just distribution companies. And I think this is part of the problem of this egalitarian vision of the world, because they're not just distribution companies. They also curate. I mean, the same with art. You need museums, you need curators who tell you who select the art to you. Because anybody can be an artist. I can make music and I can put it on Spotify. You don't want to hear it, I tell you. You know? And this is the problem, I think, that there is in this free world, almost communist distributed world, we need something that is the authority or something that leads us still. And this could be influencers, which we have today, or it could be artists, or it could, but the artists, you know, how do you know that this is the right artist or this is not right? Because you like him, I love this artist.
I totally disagree with you, because like, it was used to be like this private, and now you do the internet, you have,
Yes.
if you watch like Instagram, I don't have personally, Instagram, what's the most popular is the she's so it's not so fast. Whatever, but it's not like high level art, whatever. So it's not like somebody expert who comes and say that's perfect.
No, but the point is, there is...
So we're talking about the curation and the quality of the content that people would like to have.
select what's good and what's worth.
So what do you think about the curation part? Because you did your fair share of, yeah. Did you tell people that you're a musician too, or do I have to take that out of
Guys, I'm not a musician.
How about you're a
Unless you
rapper?
give me a topic and we can freestyle here.
you? Yeah, you see? He is very good at it, by the way. I mean, he is really good at it. So just by the way, YouTube, just go there. Just, you know, like you will find a lot of good materials there. But again, just to tell you that how everything is related to everything, and knowing me and my network, so I was helping the guys at Wolf Summit. And there's a problem, because usually people say that like startups are boring, and usually people say that musicians are dumb. It's a very common thing. And that's, none of them is true. And I just said that, you know what, I have some friends in some music label, and I just brought them to Wolf Summit, and then I said, guys, let's bring an event together that is going to be half music and like proper stages and everything, and then half is going to be startups, and then we're also going to talk about the usability of startups in this whole thing. I also have some connections in the Nordics, and there are some musicians that they are doing some stuff around blockchains and this kind of stuff, so it was perfect. We found out that the level of the quality of organizing events inside the music industry and organizing an event for a startup ecosystem is as much connected as building a satellite and building a building. Both of them are buildings, but they have nothing in common. Like, they were asking about the type of the, you know, the microphones that you have here, and then the speaker were just talking about, can I speak 5 more minutes? You know, like we were just really seeing that we're going to kill both of our events because the mentality of those people and let's just say startups are so away from each other that we cannot really, let's just say, successfully do that. But we did it in the C Bloggers. I don't know if you guys know the other event. So my idea kind of happened in C Bloggers in a different capacity because C Blogger was let's just say, a different vibes there. But that's where I understood that how much music industry, as you mentioned, is a very specific and a undiscovered part. That like when a record label just discovers a musician, it's such a unique know-how they have that I don't know how to say that, but if you take it like a Billie Eilish, like it's not just a matter of the fact that, oh, come and work with me and I'm just going to distribute your content. It's also a matter of the fact that they know what people like. Like the idea of a sheep or cat or whatever you say, it's like these people know already what people did not hear, but they would like to hear.
And the behaviors are changing as well. We have many more independent artists than we had back 10 years ago. And all of those innovations like the social media, the fact that you can buy $300 mic and have almost the same quality as the studio quality, it's also changing the role of record labels and the value of curation. I'm saying curation is still there and will be, but the value of it is less and less in terms of the difference it makes to the final listener in this case.
And then we can talk about Justin Timberlake and how he killed music. Because the whole, let's just say, sorry? With the whole synthesizing and mastering music and everything, most of it, he is behind the whole idea. And he has also a lot of patterns around this whole story. So long story short, yeah, I mean, literally, like you know how to sing, I don't. But if I will have this and a proper studio, you hear what I don't do, what the device is doing, because they put melody in it, they put the tempo on it, and then after that they put a background music on it, and I was like, oh my God, what this guy is doing, and I was like, I am not doing anything, you know, like I'm just a person who is basically just saying something that is written on the script for me, and that changes everything. I can also say something, and then after that I would not be able to be behind the camera, I think, for the rest of my life, but like what Louis C.K. did was unbelievable. I mean, not the other thing that he did, but the other thing that he did. And that is the fact that he stopped working with everybody. He made his own website, and he said that I don't work with any distributors, just $1, just buy my stuff. Because he was a visionary, not because he believed in decentralization or he didn't believe in Spotify, because he was a guy that he knew what people want. He was a guy that he was a producer, writer, actor, director, all of it. And again, he started when he was like 16, 17, and he did it when he was 30-something years old. So he did it 20 years later. So I really think, again, going back to this whole idea, I think sometimes we're rushing too much. I like this word of, like, we're a microwave nation. Like, you put your soup in a microwave, and then 2 minutes later, you start shouting, and I was like, why aren't you hot? And I was like, it's 30 seconds, you know? Like, why are you angry? Like, before, like, people had to get some, you know, like, I don't know, make some fire for half an hour, and then after that, I was like, I made it a bit warmer, you know. So we don't wait 20 years for anything to happen, and that's where we're trying to go. And frankly speaking, another thing I also have this is that this is the last one, so I have a feeling that we can stay here as long as the guy is going to just lock the door, and then we're just going to be the last person who's going to do that. But just to wrap it up, I'm just going to put it into this form: is NFT not from the point of view because. Guys, I'm going to ask you a question. Just try to help me here. When I say NFT, how many of you guys think of art? And how many of you think of digital ownership? Wow. Okay. So more of you think of digital ownership. We have a very highly educated audience. That is a bubble, because that's a massive bubble. Like next time we're going to bring our audiences from a different part of the things. Like you guys are too educated for us. But the reality is that most people just, when you talk NFT, they just feel about, like I'm going to take a picture of my shoe and I'm just going to put it on my website and then I'm just going to start selling it for 100,000. Not less than that. It's like a startup valuation, because in average, a shoe is going to cost half a thousand or 500,000. So multiply by 100. How do we go there? How do we try to change the definition of NFT to what it really is, that when people really would like to do something about that, they would not be scammed? I can say something that is very close to my heart, and that's Golem. Like, I really like Golem. And somebody would just say, but I bought some and I lost my money. And I was like, yeah, but I said that I like the idea. I said I like the technology. I never said that you're going to be rich out of that. And that's always a problem for me. And I'm sorry to say that, but for the past 10 years, for a very long time, I was detached from the whole blockchain world because I was tired of talking to people about what I do and what I don't do. Because when you do something on fintech and insurtech on a very hardcore capacity, and trust me, there is a lot to do in that capacity, then you live your life. But in so many ways, you're just like, oh, so it's multi-level marketing style. You know what I mean? Like before you really try to polish it and talk about the core of the problem, your life is over. So that's where I'm going.
I'm not worried about the losing money part, all of the unused opportunities. There were hundreds of crypto projects. Majority of them failed. It's an official statistics. Billions of dollars, dozens of billions of dollars invested in companies which at the end of the day didn't deliver. But the crypto industry is still there. I'm not talking from the investment point of view, but rather from the value point of view and how do people look at it and see the future use cases of crypto. And I think the only solution is to build good projects. If you're someone with the founder nature, if you're a journalist, really do your research and write not only about the NFT collections, but also the other use cases there are with this technology. If you're just a normal average guy who wants to buy the first coin, just let's do the research and let's find the coins which are or projects which are worth supporting. I think that we are in these kind of times that it's a bit outside of your question, Ahmed, but I was a couple of weeks ago, I was at this dinner we had with some people from this Forbes ranking, and so there was this crypto company founder chatting with this guy who was a founder of a healthcare company. And the conversation was basically like, oh, this crypto is scam. I'm working on my company for 10 years now, and the valuation is with real clients. We have real clients with the real revenue we bring in, with the real patients we are helping. The interest, the media interest, the valuation is still not even 10% of what you guys have, because this crypto company just scored the investment round, and it was funny thing for me to hear, because the whole technology sector or any kind of sector in the world is about catching opportunities. We have so many founders, successful founders in the space, talking about catching the waves in technology sector, and this is curation, right? If you're a founder, you're basically curator.
You see the curator. If you're the founder, you're the artist.
Wow.
Oh, I like it.
Most of them fail.
It's fair. It sounds very fair. I like it. I remember that one. But the idea is still there. The business side of the project is about curating and catching those waves which can bring the biggest returns. And I think that we actually caught this kind of a wave, and any kind.
Steel magnate in 19th century, you were the crypto today. You were the oil magnate of, 18th century, you were the 19th century.
Yeah.
Today you are the crypto. In 80s, it was software. Bill Gates and Oracle, whatever.
Yeah, the future is basically out. In my opinion, of the future is basically standing on this slogan Web3. Yeah, overused, but it's worth digging deeper in that. That's for sure.
Well, I can tell you one anecdote. About 15 years ago, I was at a conference talking about high tech, and there was Steve Wozniak was one of the key speakers, very nice, blah blah. And then the last speaker was a professor of philosophy at the University of Warsaw. They asked to speak, and he stood up and he said, "I don't know anything about this high tech, but I can tell you one thing. In the future, there will be value in being disconnected and not in the digital way, and going to your cabin in the woods and not having a telephone."
This will be election. Will be election for the
Yes,
segment.
that's correct.
Yeah.
And I think he was very, very right.
That's true. I also really like when Polish people call Steve Wozniak. He was called himself Woz. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Warsaw. Yeah. So, guys, one thing that you might not know is that even though Mateusz is a very smart guy, he's a very intelligent guy, he's also a very cool guy. So I'm not going to let him go before pick some topics from the audience, and please try to finish it on a more happier note if you don't mind. So tell me how you set it up, and then I will do the rest.
I hate those
didn't put him on the
questions.
spot at all. I give you a good microphone for a reason, you know.
So I'm just not sure what to say because like there are so many thoughts I have in my mind when talking about NFTs and metaverses, and the industry is so immature that's hard to stick with just this one thought because the crypto industry is all about change and being able to adapt to the change, which we didn't observe in any kind of industry happening so fast, literally. There was a craze for NFT projects. Then the next logo came into the space, which is metaverse, back 2 years ago, and now everyone is talking about metaverse. So I would just say, stay open for all of those new waves which are coming, and let's try to catch the best one, hopefully in Peru, which is gonna be the next crypto heaven.
Can I ask you to sing that with metaverse and NFTs?
No way.
You're not gonna go there? Oh, come on. You did way more complicated than that, no? I'm not gonna push you, but I'm sure it's gonna be fun. What do you think? We have very cool people on that side. Would you go for it? We will delete it if it's not gonna be good. Wink.
So just two things. It would need to be in Polish,
Sure.
and we would need to get
How
some...
many of you guys are not Polish? Oh, nice. You will
see,
learn Polish by the end.
Yo, Ahmed, you see, so maybe let's try to push it for the next session.
For the next one. Okay, so guys, all of you who are not Polish, you learn Polish by the next one. And when you finish learning Polish, I'm going to bring Mateusz again in the next 20 years. No, but seriously, it was very fun talking
Thank
to you.
you.
And at the same time, I'm not kidding. Like, he's very good at, like doing the other parts also. But if he's not going to do it live, just definitely go, and try to Google him or on a YouTube. And it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you very much, guys, for staying for so long. And
Thanks, everyone.
if there was anything else, hopefully we will catch each other on the networking part of that. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks.
Good. You didn't go for it. Just wanted to bring it back or something.